Welcome back to Tech News. Today, we got Microsoft crying uncle after an 11% drop in their stock price after an increase in revenue. We may soon get the official remove AI from Windows script from Microsoft themselves. Also, OpenAI might be in trouble. Does that mean they don't need all that memory they allocated? Well, one can hope, but let's get right into it. In something that I guess is news for Microsoft, it turns out that Windows 11 users aren't as excited about AI as they are. As a result, it looks like Microsoft might be pulling back on its heavy AI integration push in Windows 11, actually moving away from the AI everywhere strategy that essentially places Copilot buttons all over the operating system. So the company has paused development on additional Copilot integrations, like the ones that we typically see in programs like Explorer, Notepad, and Paint. You mean they actually had more planned? Not only has development paused on these integrations, but they've also looking at reducing or even outright eliminating some of the integrations currently in Windows 11. Microsoft plans to adopt a more thoughtful approach moving forward, focusing on placements that provide genuine value rather than blanketing the OS with AI additions that just frustrate their users. And part of this reevaluation targets the controversial recall feature. Apparently, Microsoft has already deemed the current version a failure based on significant privacy and security concerns with Windows users. Now, the recall feature, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with, faced a full year-long delay in 2024 after the initial rollout. Plans drew widespread criticism, as well as significant security issues, if I recall. Pun, unfortunately, not intended. But rather than abandon the concept entirely, Microsoft is exploring new ways to evolve it, including giving it a new name. Because, nothing works better to increase the adoption of a crappy feature than just renaming it. But, in all fairness, they also are considering major changes to the feature as well. They're not just going to rename it Copilot Surveillance Simulator 2026 or Creepy Cache, but we'll have to see how that works out. But this shift really reflects a recognition from Microsoft that their aggressive AI rollout has not landed well with the Windows community. By dialing back these elements, Microsoft aims to address user complaints about unnecessary or overbearing features while preserving or even concentrating more on developer-focused AI tools. Overall, though, honestly, I think Microsoft moving to a more measured AI strategy for Windows 11 and stepping away from more hype-driven integrations will ultimately make the user experience on Windows better by concentrating more on what actual PC users need and want. Are you still running Windows 11 unactivated because the license just costs too much? Then you should check out today's sponsor, VIP SCD Key, where you can get a valid Windows 11 license for around $20. Stop dealing with that stupid watermark and actually be able to change your desktop background with a valid license for Windows 11. Just go to the link in the description below and pick up a valid Windows 11 license key. During checkout, use the code CyberCPU for a 25% discount. Once you have your key, go to your activation settings in Windows 11 and click the link that says Change Product Key. Enter the product key you just purchased and hit Activate. Now you don't have to deal with that stupid watermark. And check out the description for deals on not just Windows, but Office too. Now, on with the video. In other news, Microsoft has acknowledged that Windows 11 has faced significant challenges in recent years. These challenges have eroded user trust through persistent bugs, performance issues, reliability problems, and intrusive elements within Windows 11. Yeah, that's actually putting it lightly, to be honest. In fact, in a statement to The Verge, Windows president directly addressed this feedback by saying, "The feedback we are receiving from our community of passionate customers and Windows insiders has been clear. We need to improve Windows in ways that are meaningful for people. This year, you will see us focus on addressing pain points we hear constantly from our customers, improving system performance, reliability, and overall experience of Windows." And he further emphasized that trust is earned over time and that they are committed to building it back within the Windows community. Microsoft appears to be shifting priorities in 2026 towards stabilizing the core Windows 11 operating system rather than concentrating on new features. Microsoft is using an internal strategy that they call swarming. This will redirect engineer teams to fix core problems from within Windows. Some of these key pain points that are targeted include sluggish system speed, stability concerns, and broader user experience frustrations. This will include problems like the File Explorer lag, crashes and BSODs, and even attempting to reduce annoyances like ads, forced app redirects, and privacy issues. They also plan to fix neglected UI elements like dark mode, which I'm pretty sure that's been a problem since the very beginning. With that said though, Microsoft has said that gaming performance stands out as a major focus. Microsoft has downright admitted that Windows 11 needs real upgrades here, with plans to optimize CPU scheduling, power management, and background workload handling, as well as graphic stack efficiencies and driver coordination. Microsoft wants Windows gaming performance to improve substantially. Because honestly, I think it gets kind of embarrassing in cases where Linux outperforms Windows in certain games when Linux is emulating Windows to begin with. This pivot, though, signals a shift from within Microsoft to try to eliminate the reputation that Windows 11 has earned since its release, where some people actually believe it's the worst version of Windows ever. But I have to disagree. That's obviously Windows 8. But I digress. You know, I just have to say that between this story and the last one, we've been talking about this stuff for years, but it takes Microsoft losing $400 billion in market share for them to take us seriously? Yeah, I guess so. I honestly think though that this is a good thing because ultimately I want to see Windows get better. Who knows? Maybe by 2027, Windows 11 will be the best version of Windows yet. We'll have to see how that goes. And in good news for some, but bad news for others, NVIDIA's ambitious plan to pour $100 billion into OpenAI to bolster the company's training and development models has hit kind of a major snag. The original plan, announced in September of 2025, was a deal to provide OpenAI with essential funding and priority access to NVIDIA's AI hardware. A deal that's honestly critical for OpenAI to stay competitive in the AI race. However, apparent skepticism internally at NVIDIA has caused the agreement to hit kind of a few speed bumps, with some sources indicating that a reevaluation of the partnership scope is at hand. Apparently, though, executives from within NVIDIA have voiced concerns over the deal's validity, which has led to kind of a shift in discussions. So instead of the massive $100 billion commitment, talks are now centered around a much smaller equity stake, still potentially in the tens of billions though. And NVIDIA's CEO Jensen has kind of downplayed the original figure, stressing it was a non-binding and not finalized figure. Jensen also apparently privately has critiqued OpenAI's operational discipline and highlighted competitive risks from Google and other AI companies. Jensen has, however, publicly pushed back on any disagreement between the two companies, affirming that NVIDIA intends to make a huge investment in OpenAI. He has denied the unhappiness with the partnership and stated that NVIDIA will continue to participate in funding efforts. Just considerably less money, apparently. These developments do reflect kind of a broader market jitters about AI investments in general. I can also kind of understand why NVIDIA doesn't want to make this seem like a distrust in OpenAI, being that they're making an absolute killing on AI hardware at the moment. But it does, though, however, highlight fears that the overall industry is a bubble and might not be able to make returns on the multi-trillion-dollar scale of current funding. But either way, scaled back investments does leave OpenAI short on capital, and it could jeopardize their ability to fulfill sensitive hardware commitments that they've made, including securing around 40% of global memory wafer production in 2026. And if such a shortfall takes place, it might force OpenAI to renegotiate or even release wafer allocations. This could potentially flood the consumer market with excess capacity, driving down RAM prices and storage prices. So, like I said, good news for some and not such good news for others. We might be witnessing in real time the bubble finally popping on AI. At least let's hope. So I know it's been a while since I've done a news video, but with the latest headlines, I just had to say something about them. Also, I kind of needed an excuse to test out my new green screen behind me. Let me know how you like this format. And also, I'm going to sporadically do news videos now going forward, but since you've stuck with me this long, check out a couple of these videos. And so I don't have to rotoscope myself out from walking out of the green screen, I'm going to have to change my outro. So as always, you guys have a great day.